Hello everybody out there on YouTube. It is me again, and I would like to introduce you to the first installment of DarkSide Ireland with your host, King Sabbath. And we are going to do episodes 1 and 2 for you today in a combined session.
Give yourself to the dark side. This is the DarkSide Chats International, powered by the Dark Side.
And so, my first two guests are Lord Bruticus, as you know from the original US version, the DarkSide Chats, and my very first and the second guest is my very first apprentice, Darth Blaze. Okay, here are some questions that I recently asked Lord Bruticus. Number 1 was, how long have you been into Star Wars?
Well, I've been a fan of Star Wars probably since the very beginning. I was 4 years old back in 1977, and I remember my grandmother taking me to see it. And of course, my initial memories of Star Wars are very, very limited, but the first thing that comes to mind is that blaster battle there on the Tantive 4 spaceship, and then Darth Vader coming through, and just that I remember for sure. I think that's my very, very first Star Wars memory, and one of my earliest memories, I think. And I've been a Star Wars junkie ever since.
Number 2. What Star Wars movie inspired you to start up or create the Dark Side?
I was inspired to do the DarkSide Chats, not really from a specific Star Wars movie, but from all of the Star Wars movies. Of course, my favorite Star Wars movie is by far The Empire Strikes Back, and I think most fans would probably agree to that. But I love all of the Star Wars movies, and the DarkSide Chats to me was inspired because of Star Wars fandom itself. I was very, very intrigued by the variety of how fans express themselves in their fandom for Star Wars, whether it be collecting Star Wars memorabilia to such a real fever pitch, to costuming, which is something I like doing. Star Wars fans, by and large, are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and I wanted to create something on YouTube that celebrates and explores just the wonderful realm of Star Wars fandom in general.
Number 3. How did you decide to become a Sith Lord?
I decided to be a Sith Lord because I really like the bad guy side of Star Wars, the dark side. Darth Vader, initially I think my favorite character was probably Luke Skywalker as a kid, but also at the same time I really, really loved Darth Vader. And as the years went by and we had what we call the dark times in between Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith, or actually in between Return of the Jedi and the original trilogy re-releases, the special editions in 1997. So from 83 to 97, that's 14 years of no Star Wars except for the repeats. And I remember during that time, it's called the dark time for a reason, and I specifically refer to it as the dark time because it's then that I realized that I really like Darth Vader a lot. And Darth Vader is one of my favorite characters, and Palpatine especially too. I think Vader and Palpatine are my two favorite characters in the original trilogy of movies, and so I kind of wanted to celebrate that a little bit too. And I created Darth Bruticus because I'm also a fan of the original Generation 1 Transformers, the old school stuff, and Bruticus just had a really good ring to it, and so I created Darth Bruticus, and I wanted to be kind of like the Emperor, but not quite the Emperor, a little bit more wacky, zany kind of fun, and I think it worked out pretty well.
Number 4. How do you finance your new radio show that you've been doing, Dark Empire Radio?
Ah, my radio show. You mean Dark Empire Radio? Well, it does cost money, but not much, and so I just pay that out of my own pocket, really. But Dark Empire Radio is the official podcast of the Dark Empire, a global Sith costuming organization, and our forums, by the way, if anyone's interested, can be found at the-dark-empire.forummotion.com. Try saying that 5 times fast. Well, anyway, just replay that, and you'll find it, or you can Google the Dark Empire, and you'll ultimately find us. But the Dark Empire itself, Dark Empire Radio, its podcast, of course, in the proud fine tradition of the DarkSide chats, is aimed at all fans of Star Wars and is not only an exploration of the Dark Empire, but all of Star Wars fandom. And really, it supports itself. I mean, it's upwards of around 5,000 subscribers worldwide, and I'm very pleased with it. We're on iTunes, and I think that's where most of our listeners get the show from. But by and large, the Dark Empire Radio, I just pay for it out of my pocket. Doesn't cost very much. But we do have a Zazzle store. Zazzle's where you can buy Dark Empire Radio T-shirts and coffee mugs, and just show your fandom. And that, of course, is Zazzle.com/Dark Empire Radio.
Number 5. How did you acquire your costume?
Ah, Lord Bruticus' costume. Yeah, that's something that has been a work in progress since probably 2007, and it's changed in appearance since then. And I've pieced it together from different costumes. Many costume makers do just that. They make their costumes just out of fabric. Well, I am not a seamstress. I'm not a tailor. I purchased everything that Lord Bruticus wears individually, from the boots to the belt to the tunic to my cloak, from different vendors out there. But there's a wonderful place where you can purchase all of these separate things and just from different vendors, and it's called eBay. And Lord Bruticus is quite the eBay shopper.
Number 6. What is your favorite and most used force powers?
My favorite and most used force power. Well, I am a big fan, of course, of force lightning in the movies. I've gotten quite good at that. Here's a little demonstration. But of course, my favorite custom force power that I came up with is of my own creation. I call it the Force Fart, and I'm not sure if I should give a demonstration or not. What the heck? Here's the Force Fart. It's quite brutal, and that's one of the reasons they call me the brutal one.
That is what they call you. What they do. And last but not least, number 7. What is your favorite line from any of the 6 Star Wars movies?
My favorite line from any of the Star Wars movies, well, there's a lot of them, but the one that stands out at the moment to me is the Emperor. "Welcome, young Skywalker. I have been expecting you." Just to me has the creepy feel of the Emperor that I just love, and so yeah, that's one of my favorite Star Wars moments.
And that is all the time we have for tonight on the Dark Side Ireland. But don't fear, we will have longer segments some other times. We do not know when we will, but we will. Don't be worrying about that. And remember, may the dark side of the Force always flow through you.
Give yourself to the dark side.